Shocking. Eala and Felix Auger-Aliassime have just stunned Elina Svitolina and Gael Monfils in their mixed doubles debut, and New York has been left absolutely stunned. A 21-year-old Filipina and her Canadian partner walked onto Arthur Ashe Stadium as a wildcard pairing. They walked off having eliminated one of the most talked-about couples in the tournament. Svitolina, a former world number 3 and Grand Slam semi-finalist. Monfils, the beloved French veteran competing in what has been described as his farewell season. Experience, chemistry, reputation, the married power couple seemed to have everything. But Eala and Auger-Aliassime had something else. Momentum. And once that momentum started rolling, it became incredibly difficult to stop. The moment Eala and Felix Auger-Aliassime stepped onto the court, they knew they were entering something much bigger than an ordinary mixed doubles match. This was Arthur Ashe Stadium. This was the US Open. And standing across the net were two of the most recognizable names in tennis. Svitolina has reached the semifinals at Wimbledon and the US Open, while Monfils has built a career around spectacular athleticism, unforgettable shot-making, and a personality that has made him one of the most popular players on tour. Together, they looked like the perfect mixed doubles combination. But tennis doesn't always reward the most experienced team. Sometimes, it rewards the team that arrives with the most belief. And that was exactly what Eala and Auger-Aliassime brought with them. The moment the draw was announced, fans immediately circled this matchup. Svitolina and Monfils against Eala and Auger-Aliassime. It wasn't simply a match between four players. It was a clash between experience and emerging momentum. The married couple had already established themselves as one of the tournament's most intriguing pairings. Eala and Auger-Aliassime, meanwhile, were entering their first US Open mixed doubles appearance together. They were the wildcard team. The outsiders. The pairing nobody could completely predict. And that made the result even more dramatic. Because the new generation wasn't interested in simply participating. They wanted to make a statement. One of the biggest advantages Eala and Auger-Aliassime had was the format itself. The revamped mixed doubles structure places enormous value on fast starts, aggressive tennis, and the ability to stay mentally sharp when every point carries extra weight. There is very little room to slowly find your rhythm. You have to arrive ready. You have to attack. And you have to capitalize when the opportunity appears. That style suited this pairing perfectly. Eala brought her aggressive baseline game. Auger-Aliassime brought one of the biggest weapons in tennis, his serve. Put those two elements together, and suddenly the wildcard pairing didn't look like outsiders anymore. They looked dangerous. But there was another ingredient that made this partnership especially interesting. Their shared connection through the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. Eala spent part of her development at the academy, while Auger-Aliassime also trained there under Tony Nadal. That connection gave them something that many first-time partnerships simply don't have. Familiarity. They understood the environment. They understood the intensity. And they understood what it meant to develop inside one of the most demanding tennis systems in the world. That shared history may have helped create chemistry faster than expected. And before the tournament, Auger-Aliassime seemed to understand exactly what kind of partnership he had joined. He joked that Eala was younger than him, but he felt she had the fanbase and that she would be carrying the crowd. That comment sounded playful at first. Inside Arthur Ashe Stadium, it became reality. Because this is where the story gets even bigger. The Eala effect had already been growing across North America. From Washington to Toronto and Cincinnati, her supporters have repeatedly shown just how passionate the Filipino tennis community can be. But Arthur Ashe was different. This wasn't a smaller tournament court. This was the largest stage. Thousands upon thousands of fans packed the stadium, and the Filipino community transformed the atmosphere. Flags appeared in the stands. Fans chanted Eala's name. Families arrived together. And for a few hours, the stadium felt less like a neutral tennis venue and more like a homecoming. That atmosphere mattered. Because when you're playing mixed doubles, momentum can change in seconds. One loud point can energize an entire team. One missed opportunity can create pressure. And Eala had an entire community behind her. The Filipino diaspora has followed her journey from around the world, and wherever she competes, supporters seem to find a way to make their presence impossible to ignore. That was especially visible in New York. The Eala effect wasn't just about tennis. It was about identity. For Filipino fans living thousands of miles from home, watching Eala compete creates a connection that goes far beyond a scoreboard. They arrive carrying flags. They wear colors representing the Philippines. They cheer for every winner. And when Eala walks onto the court, the distance between New York and the Philippines suddenly feels much smaller. Now imagine being her opponent. You don't just have to play against Eala. You have to play against the energy surrounding her. And Svitolina and Monfils experienced that firsthand. But here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. This wasn't simply a crowd-driven victory. Eala and Auger-Aliassime had the tennis to back it up. Auger-Aliassime's serve gave the partnership immediate firepower. Eala's aggressive baseline game allowed her to step forward and dictate points. Their styles complemented each other. One could create pressure with power. The other could attack from the baseline. And because the format rewards quick reactions and aggressive decision-making, their combination made sense almost immediately. The power couple on the other side of the net had experience. But experience doesn't guarantee control. And Eala and Auger-Aliassime refused to let the match settle into a comfortable rhythm. They attacked. They stayed aggressive. They trusted their weapons. And slowly, the match began moving in their direction. Then came the moment nobody in the stadium could ignore. The wildcard pairing had defeated Svitolina and Monfils. Straight sets. A first-round victory that instantly became one of the biggest stories surrounding the revamped mixed doubles event. Think about what that means. Eala and Auger-Aliassime weren't supposed to be the headline. They were supposed to be the interesting wildcard. Instead, they became the team everyone was suddenly talking about. And that changes everything. Because now the question isn't whether they belong. They've already answered that. The question is how far they can go. And this is where the US Open story becomes much more dangerous for everyone standing in their path. Their victory wasn't just about defeating a respected married couple. It was proof that this partnership works under pressure. It showed that Eala can handle the biggest stage. It showed that Auger-Aliassime can embrace the unique energy surrounding his partner. And most importantly, it showed that the so-called Eala effect isn't disappearing anytime soon. In fact, it may only be getting bigger. The next challenge could become even more dramatic. The winners are set to move forward toward a quarterfinal meeting involving other major names in the draw, with the tournament schedule compressing the action into a short window. That means there is almost no time to relax. No time to celebrate for too long. The next match arrives quickly. And suddenly, the wildcard pairing has become a legitimate threat. For Eala, this is another chapter in a remarkable rise. The 21-year-old has already experienced major breakthroughs on the WTA stage. She has built a reputation for fearless tennis, competed against elite opponents, and developed a fan base that follows her wherever she goes. Now she is showing another side of her game. Doubles. Teamwork. Quick reactions. And the ability to adapt alongside one of the most established players in the Canadian game. Auger-Aliassime, meanwhile, appears to be enjoying the experience. Instead of fighting against the enormous attention surrounding Eala, he has embraced it. He understands that the crowd is part of the equation. And in mixed doubles, where atmosphere can influence momentum, having tens of thousands of supporters emotionally invested in your team can become a serious advantage. But there is one question hanging over this entire story. Was this just one incredible night? Or have Eala and Felix Auger-Aliassime discovered something much bigger? Because defeating Svitolina and Monfils is impressive. Doing it in your first mixed doubles appearance is even more impressive. Doing it while carrying the expectations of a massive Filipino crowd at Arthur Ashe Stadium? That's something else entirely. The pressure is now different. Before the match, they were the wild card. After the match, they're the team everybody has noticed. Opponents will know what Eala brings. They will know what Auger-Aliassime brings. And they will know that the crowd is coming with them. That changes the psychology of the tournament. Suddenly, there is something to lose. But if this partnership has shown anything, it's that pressure may be exactly what makes them dangerous. Eala has already proven she can step onto major stages without backing away. Auger-Aliassime has spent years competing under enormous expectations. Put them together, and the result could be one of the most fascinating stories of this US Open. And remember, the mixed doubles run is only one part of Eala's New York adventure. She still has her singles campaign ahead. She still has opportunities to create more history. And she still has an entire Filipino community waiting to see what comes next. That's why this victory feels bigger than a first-round result. It represents momentum. It represents belief. And it represents a young Filipina walking into one of the biggest tennis stadiums on earth and proving that she belongs there. The Eala effect has officially reached New York. And if this opening chapter is any indication, the US Open may have just discovered one of its most exciting stories. Eala and Felix Auger-Aliassime arrived as a wildcard. They leave their first match as a team everyone is watching. The power couple is out. The underdogs are still standing. And the question has changed completely. How far can Eala and Auger-Aliassime actually go? Can they turn this shocking debut into a deep run? Can they continue riding the unbelievable energy coming from the Filipino fans? And could this unexpected partnership become one of the defining stories of the US Open? Because one thing is already clear. New York has seen the Eala effect before. But this time, it came with a Canadian world number 4 beside her. And together, they may have created something nobody saw coming. The US Open has only just begun. And Alex Eala has already made sure the world is watching.